I'm at the Hillman Dam. I couldn't tell you how many hours I spent here as a young kid, going fishing off the shore. Had a little 4.5 foot ultralight most of the time. Made some of my longest casts I ever made in my life right there. But now to realize years later, walking down there, the cast wasn't that far at all. Those memories of this hometown are so precious to me. My dad would come down here at night, throw a little countdown Rapala, catch brown trout. I'd come down here after school with my rod, my artificial baits, catch northern pike, brook trout, brown trout, suckers. Just so many countless memories here. Walking up on the Thunder Bay River Bridge here in Hillman. For years, when I was growing up, this was a concrete bridge with arches similar to the metal ones that you see now, that they tried to simulate the old bridge, except they made it out of steel. Thunder Bay River runs through Hillman, goes all the way to Hillman, Michigan, out into Lake Huron. A lot of trout. And after I moved away from this town, they built the Brush Creek Mill right there. And they hold all kinds of events right there at the Brush Creek Mill, holds and shows a lot of history at Hillman. This was a fun place to grow up. Very lucky to have grown up in Hillman, Michigan. I can remember as a young driver, have a fresh driver's license. Crossed this bridge many times when parents were driving, but when I got my driver's license, coming across this bridge, concrete on both sides, it was so narrow, 2 vehicles could hardly make it. If a logging truck was coming, chances are you were scraping the side of your vehicle just to stay away from them. But it's just so narrow. Had a lot of character. You know what? There's no graffiti on it either. Standing right here underneath the spillway of the Hillman Pond that runs into the Thunder Bay River. That little water flow right there from the spillway, I caught 90% of my brook trout right there. Just a little split shot, number 10 hook, about half a night crawler. That's all you needed down here. I'd sit on this bank. Some days the fishing was good. Some days you wouldn't get a nibble. Man, I was anywhere from, probably 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I could ride my bike here from home, just on the other side of the pond. Most of the time I walked. sit here, try to catch brook trout when you weren't fishing or when the fish weren't biting. You could look down in the water and see the crawdads there. Great memories. You see right here, that stick right there, it's not growing in the ground. You fishermen know what I'm talking about, what that is. You'd sit here when fishing low, or if you maybe even have some live bait and a bobber, you just sit your fishing pole on that so you wouldn't hang on to it. Watch your line, sit down on the bank and think. This is what used to be Mark's garage. This is a place where, as a kid, I would ride my bike, and if I had a flat tire, I'd have to take the rim off the bike, walk it down here, have them put a new tube in or patch a tube. Just fond memories here. This is where everybody got their automotive work done. And right across the street, we had the Hillman Hardware. Where Rex Battery used to own this building. The hardware store when I was growing up. This parking lot was where they held the buck pole during deer season, where they had given away prizes for the first deer brought in, the largest deer, the widest rack, the youngest hunter, the first woman. They all got prizes. Everybody had to try to be the first one in to get the first buck in, or the largest. And today it's no longer owned by Rex Batter. And then right across the street, years ago there used to be an entrance to a basement right here. This is a Montmorency County Savings Bank, established in 1915, the building was. And my dad drove up from West Branch, Michigan, where he was working as a barber. And he tried to find a place to open up a business. And at the time, he was offered this place on the side of this building. Right now, where all these flowers are, you would walk down a step that would take you into the basement underneath the bank here. And my dad had his barbershop. He opened up his first barbershop in Hillman here. And that's where he got his start in Hillman. The building over there with the blue metal on it used to be called Party Store. Now they just call it the A1 Party Store. A fellow by the name of Mr. Stoddard owned that building. Got one of my first jobs there, resupplying all the stock in the coolers on the weekends. And it's a great place to get your weekend supplies. They had bait and tackle and all that kind of stuff. Famous Highway Inn. Been here for many years. This area is known for its deer hunting. A lot of folks would come from the southern part of Michigan up here, not even pick up a rifle and go in the woods, but they spend all their time at the Highway Inn. This used to be Vandefeer's furniture store. And of course, it's changed through the times, and it's now an ice cream shop, creamery. And what used to be right next to Vandefeer's furniture store, in this empty lot, was a building. Small building, took up about half the lot. My dad bought it, and that was his barbershop, right here on the main street in Hillman, Michigan. He worked out of here for close to 11 years, 12 years, and before we moved to Florida. And this is where he made his money, support me and my sister, go to school, and provide us with a great living. a new building in town. The building that stood there before this one was the Northeast Sports Center. And this was an active place because, like I said, we were an outdoors oriented community. Bait, tackle, hunting gear, gasoline, everything out of there. I would go up to the golf course, the Hillman golf course at night, pick night crawlers. I'd get a 5-gallon bucket of night crawlers and sell them to the sports center. High school mascots here. We were the Hillman Tigers, and I forever will be a Hillman Tiger. I played all my high school sports here. Very active in basketball, mainly a little bit of track. Played 1 year of football. Didn't play baseball at the high school level, but enjoyed baseball in Pony League and Little League around here. But I'll forever be a Hillman Tiger. Our Dairy Queen was, of course, closed all winter long. One of the happiest days of spring was when they opened up. This was the site of the bowling alley as I was growing up. Had not much to do in the wintertime at night around here, but the bowling league was very popular. They had pool tables in there, pinball machines, of course, little snack bar that you could eat. Very popular place for the locals here to visit. And the car wash, of course. Around here in springtime, it is very hard to keep a car clean. Not just springtime, but wintertime also. But spent a lot of time here cleaning up a vehicle. A lot of mud driving around these country roads, getting the salt off your vehicle. So Hillman Car Wash was also a neat place in the parking lot here to hang out. You cruise town, come here and park, and just watch the cars go by up and down town. This is now Eli's Marketplace. This used to be Morrison's IGA grocery store. Mr. Morrison ran it for many years. Then his son Doug took it over. Doug recently sold it, and the story is that Doug had a chance to sell the building to another businessman that wasn't going to continue it as a grocery store, and Doug turned down the deal because he had so much pride in this little town and pride in his business, his family business, that he had an offer from a guy, a company that wanted to keep it as a small town grocery store, and that's what they did. And so then Doug Morrison sold the building. Doug still lives here in Hillman, and I can remember when my mom would buy something and want to have to return something, and something I despised greatly was returning anything as a kid. Come up here, bring the receipt, take it back, get some cash back. Small change at that time, but it was really big for my parents. And I would do that, but little did I know that was a life lesson. Today it's Eli's Marketplace and Marathon Gas. Way back in there behind those trees is Hillman Elementary School and high school. That's where I spent my time, learning the ABCs of reading and writing. As I walk these sidewalks in this town now, back then we didn't have sidewalks. You walked on the grass. It reminds me of a lot of memories that I have here in this small town, and how great it was growing up in small town USA. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew what your kids were doing. We looked out for each other. If you weren't supposed to be uptown at night, your parents would hear about it before you got home. It was a friendly place to live. It was a different type of world back then also. Growing up in Hillman, Michigan, this is the home that my parents lived in. I lived in, my sister, for many years while we were in Hillman here. I can remember just on beside those steps there was a TV antenna that went to the peak of the roof from above there. And we didn't have a remote to turn the antenna to a certain direction to pick up certain stations, we'd have to reach outside one of those windows there and turn the antenna in the cold, and that's how we got our TV reception. And the backyard was one of the best backyards in America. This is where I practiced my pitching in Little League, and would throw. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Doug. Hey, how about this? Look what I got over here. You guys, I'm doing a little video on Hillman, where I grew up.
Where you grew up, it was funny because my sister's here right now.
Hey, everybody, this is Doug Morrison. This is the guy I talked about earlier that took over his dad's grocery store in town. That I understand that you had a chance to sell it to someone that didn't want to become a grocery store. He wanted to change it into something else, and you wanted to continue as a grocery store.
Yep.
Daryl told me that, and I said, that sounds like something Doug Morrison would do.
Yep.
That's awesome.
How you been, buddy?
I've been great.
Good, good.
How's that? Running into someone you know from your hometown years ago. He never left. And just got done talking with him. He was about a year older than me, maybe 2, and born here, worked here, plans on staying here. Hillman's his hometown too. Now, well, back to my home. This is the house I grew up in, and there's a big tree missing right there. There was a couple big trees that I remember raking leaves every spring and fall, and in the fall everybody was raking leaves. The whole neighborhood smelled of burning leaves, and yep, this is it. This is the home I grew up in. When I lived here, that garage was not attached to the house. It was separate. Mom had her garden there, right there, back there by that big pine tree. That home right there, that chocolate house, was home. On the corner of 3rd and Bedford. All right, we're now at a site in Mountain County, Hillman, Michigan, my hometown. It has a lot of fond memories. This is one of our local swimming holes. I say swimming hole, it's not a swimming hole. It's actually one of the nicest lakes in Montmorency County. Deer flies are kind of bad this morning, so if I see me swatting, that's what I'm doing. This is Lake Avalon. This is a spring-fed lake, crystal clear water, known for its cold water. And this is where I took my swimming lessons. I would ride my bike out here. We're about 4 or 5 miles out of town from where I used to live. And I would ride my bike in the morning. We had swimming lessons early in the morning before the public beach got busy. And we would come out here, and I took 2 years of swimming lessons here. I even learned how to do some advanced life-saving courses and stuff like that. Kept me busy during the summer. But I remember that cold morning when we had to take our exam for life-saving to get our certificate. And we had to go out in this lake right here. Sun's in my eyes, but it's a beautiful morning here on Lake Avalon. We had to go out here fully clothed, shoes on, and we had to pretend rescue out in that water. Ice cold water. That felt like to me. And of course, I wasn't as tough, let's put it that way. I wasn't as tough as some other people who were taking lessons. It was cold, took some time for me. I'm still not a fan of cold water swimming. Ice plunges, stuff like that. This was the beginning of my ice plunging right here. But I got my certificates for swimming lessons right here. I'm kind of proud of that. It's a memory that always stuck in my mind. We used to share a piece of property on Long Lake, which is a lake next to this lake, with 2 other families. We had that cottage for several years on Long Lake. and that's where spent a lot of summers out there. Dad would take me fishing out there. We would walleye fish, lake trout fish, crappie fish. Had one of my memorable crappie fishing days just right off the diving dock that we had in front of our property. The crappies would congregate underneath that dock, and when they were spawning, and then you could see just hundreds of them underneath there, it was just easy pickings for a crappie meal. But let's see what we got here. Yeah, just a gorgeous lake. A lot of memories here. As usual, when you're younger, I thought this place was bigger than what I remembered. But because it is smaller, it makes it that much more special. Just one more memory in my hometown. Well, here we are at Hillman, what is now Hillman Elementary School. Used to be Hillman Community Schools. Would teach students from elementary on up through high school here. They have since built a brand new school here several years ago. But at this school here is where I was educated by some pretty good teachers, pretty great teachers if you ask me, that would come to this small town and choose to live and teach kids. Hillman Community Schools was a small district. We were a Class D school. We had, it's hard to believe, we had all these students here in the Hillman area, but not just the Hillman area, but we had outlying areas of Rush and Montmorency area. They had satellite schools. They were small schools that would teach the students just in that outlying area of Hillman, rather than bus them 10, 15 miles. They could go to a closer school there. And there you experience pretty much the one-room school experience where one teacher would teach several grades of elementary school. And then once you reached a certain grade, you would come into Hillman School, Hillman Community Schools, to finish your high school years, your junior high and high school years. In this area here, there used to be a lot of portable units where you would have third, fourth, and fifth grade, sixth grade, I believe, if I remember. And you would you would learn in those portable units. It wasn't so much the environment that made that school great, but it was the teachers. Even though you were in a portable unit, yes, we were a small community. We had small class sizes, but what made these schools great were the teachers back then. The teachers did not teach you or push certain ideals back then like we have now. The teachers educated you not just in reading, writing, and arithmetic, but right, wrong, fairness, and punishment. Back then we had corporal punishment. If you did something wrong, you were taken into the hallway and you met the wooden paddle. The worst part about my experience was my mom taught in one of these portables while I was in it. In fact, she actually taught me in one of the classrooms the whole year. So if something happened at school, my mom knew about it right away. So not only did I receive punishment from my teacher at the time, like a lot of good families, you got it at home too. So lessons were learned that way. Wasn't a bad way to live. Wouldn't trade it for the world. The memories that I have in this school are so great. The students that I shared with and grew up with through the years at Hillman Community Schools was awesome. We traded class just like a lot of schools do. We entered junior high in 7th grade. Along with the high school students, we shared hallways, lockers, and along with the older kids, older students, you were acclimated to life circumstances, friendships of not just students your age, but younger and older. When you're forced to join in a small space like this, in between classes, you knew everybody, and everybody knew you. You had students that you admired and looked up to, and you had students that you knew were less fortunate than you. There's one story about a student who I grew up with, who had very little growing up. Their family situation was not as comfortable as mine. You know, at that age, though, I didn't know that. I didn't realize the economic hardship that his family was going through. And it wasn't until later that we learned that this particular student became to be quite looked up upon in his community where he moved to in Oklahoma. His story is what you write books about in a small high school and small elementary school like this. This happens all over the United States, but in the school that I grew up in, he is just one example of that. The friendships I've made here, although we have all gone our separate ways through the years, there's a few that I stay up with. There's another reason why I come back to this community every year, is hoping that I'll run into somebody. Like we just ran into Doug Morrison. Doug Morrison was an upperclassman. His family, born and raised here. Like I said, they ran the local grocery store. And we ran into Doug at his home here, where he now lives across the street from where I grew up. And so it was good to see Doug, talk to him for a little bit. So that's Hillman Community Schools, where I grew up. This is where some of the coaches that I admire it really taught me a lot of life lessons. Hey, how you doing?
Good, you?
Doing good. Still hanging around Hillman Elementary School. Used to be Hillman Community Schools. My school that I grew up in, home of the Hillman Tigers. I was talking about the teachers that educated us and formed us as students and as human beings. I was very fortunate to have some of the best teachers that I consider. Of course, a lot of you can say the same thing. But back when I graduated in 1979, those people very much missed. Today we still have teachers that teach those values to the kids in school, of not just the topics that we're here to learn and why parents send us here to learn, but values of kindness and sharing and selflessness and teamwork. And teamwork leads me into the coaches that I had here. Coaches in basketball, football, track, the other coaches that were part of the school all played big parts in my life as an athlete. They worked hard with what they had. Being a small community, we didn't have the best athletes. We had what we had. We had some outstanding individual athletes to form teams, and just had a lot of great coaches that did the best with what they had. Starting out with my junior high basketball coach, Ray Selesky, my high school basketball coaches, Mr. Sheldon, Mr. Van Dyke, girls basketball coaches, Pat Kennard, Mr. Selesky was also our track coach. Mr. Sheldon did a little track. By gosh, football coaches we had were just awesome. I can remember one coach. I only played 1 year of football. Ended up breaking my ankle toward the end of the season. But we were so low as students to form a team. We didn't have a lot of backups, in the positions. And I had the coach that was really getting on me. And I enjoyed basketball, was my favorite sport. And I was, after I broke my ankle in football, I had my junior year. It slowed me down in the start. I broke my ankle in my 10th grade year. And it slowed me down in my start of my basketball season in my junior year. And I didn't want that to happen again. And I decided I wasn't going to play football. Wasn't good at it to begin with. I was scrawny, 130 pounds, even though I was 6 foot tall. Was slow. Wasn't a good football player. Didn't deserve to be on there, but only played 1 year. But I decided not to play football, and the coach was kind of upset with me. And that was a hard decision for me to make, because not only was a coach, he was a personal friend and a family friend. And he didn't let me live that down. He teased me about it all the time, and I had to live that down. But it was a decision I made, and it was the right decision. I then enjoyed my junior, senior year of basketball with my fellow players, and it was a memory here that I'll never forget. So brings a smile to my face every time I think about it. It's a great hometown, Hillman, Michigan. I talked earlier about how teachers and coaches influence a lot of my thinking in my life and the bearing of my thoughts, like they do a lot of people. Back in, I told you the story about the football coach that wanted me to play another year. We didn't have that many players anyway. We were a small school, so we needed everybody we had. And the coach that really taught me a lot of lessons on discipline. And football was my football coach, Kevin Mahar. I played 1 year with him, and he wanted me to play another year, and I didn't because of my commitment to basketball, and didn't want to take a chance of getting injured during football, take any of my basketball season away. But Kevin Mahar was probably one of the influences I had of the lessons that you learn on a football field with your teammates and how much you rely on them. And also, if you don't show up for practice when he wanted you to show up for practice, I remember this one story. It was every year duck season came around. It was always during football season, and Coach Mahar would always say, I know he knew some of us were avid sportsmen, and we don't miss opening season of fishing, we don't miss opening season of deer season, and we don't miss opening season of duck season. Well, the next day was opening season of duck season, and we had a pretty important football game coming up. And Coach Mahar made a very strict announcement about not showing up for practice the next day. Well, the three of us already decided that we were going duck hunting. We were going to skip practice. We were going duck hunting. Or that day, we were going to travel to go duck hunting, so we're going to miss football practice. And we did. And we knew we would pay for it with ladders on the football field. Ladders where you start at the goal post, you go to the 5 yard, you run back to the goal line, you go to the 10 yard, you roll back to the goal line, you go back to the 15, and so on until you do the whole football field. Those are ladders. And Coach Mahar said, yep, you got to do some ladders. So lesson learned there was if there are consequences to decisions and you weigh them out, what it's gonna cost you. We do that in everything in life. And also wanted to mention that, besides everything that went on here in Hillman, Michigan, during my life of growing up as a kid, and the relationships that were made, there's, the reasons why I come back, not just sentimental, but I developed a relationship real close with a good friend of mine who was a former teacher as I graduated. He was a family friend to begin with my mom and dad, and a teacher. And it kind of took me underneath his wing when I was 18 years old, going out on my own. And my folks moved to Florida, and I stayed in Sebring, or stayed in Hillman. And I come back to this place right here every year. A friend of mine now is close to 80 years old, and I come back every year to see him, spend a couple days to talk and reminisce. This year I pressure washed the outside of his house for him. Anything that I can help him with, I do, and that's kind of like the lessons that we learn in life, and how to treat people that treat us right. But I come back to this place. Special friend of mine, Daryl Peterson, lifelong family friend to my parents and myself, very much valued as a friend, and for everything that he's done for me. And he got me on my feet, kind of kept me straight when I was running astray. And it's the friends like that that I've never forgotten, and the reason why I come back to Hillman, my hometown. Well, it's that time to head back to Florida. As I'm driving through Main Street here in Hillman, Michigan, crossing that infamous bridge over the Thunder Bay River, head up over top the hill to head south. My mind keeps remembering the people and the community of Hillman, Michigan, and how kind they were to me through the years that I lived here. People like Mr. Schulk, who called me up to help him bale hay every year. People like Mr. Stoddard, who gave me a job at the party store, stocking the cooler on the weekends. Another one is the fella at Herb Lumber Company, Roger Marcourt. He gave me the job that allowed me to stay in Hillman when my folks moved to Florida. People that came over last night in the evening while I was getting ready to pack the truck up. I mentioned that I played Little League Baseball, and my former coach, Steve Atkins, came over just to say hi and visit with me for a little bit. So kind of him to do that. Played such a big part of my life, he did. Little does he realize how much he did as a Little League coach and a mentor at that young age, who came back to his community because his family lived here and took part of the family farm, and now has 50 years in with the fire department in his hometown of Hillman, Michigan. So if you get a chance to come up to Northeast Michigan and you're passing through Highway 33 and you see the turnoff to Hillman, Michigan, Highway 32, and you see the turnoff that'll take you to Hillman, the turnoff, like a lot of towns that cut off a lot of business because the road no longer passes through that town. Make that left-hand turn into Hillman. Ride down that hill that I showed you across that beautiful bridge on the Thunder Bay River, and the small businesses that line both sides of the street. It's not just a little town that are so common in this area. It's a very special little town, and it's my hometown. And the people of Hillman are special. Take the time and learn who they are. It's a great place to vacation. It's a great place to go fishing, snowmobiling, hunting, bike riding, They've got all kind of ATV trails. It truly is a wonderland. And stop in some of the business and just say, hey, I saw a video about this little town and about a man that grew up in this small town, and it just made me curious. I'd appreciate it. Thank you for following me on this trip to my hometown, and I'll see you in the next one.